talking to Monisa Cradle, who is the winner of the TV SPEC Screenplay Contest, the Mad Men screenplay, talking to us from Rochester, Michigan, right?
Correct.
And where's Rochester, Michigan?
Rochester is about an hour north of Detroit.
Okay, so you're suburban, you're like in the suburbs of Detroit?
Yes. Or when people usually ask me where I'm from, I say Detroit. It's just from the generalities of being on the map. So.
Okay, so you won the SPEC screenplay of the Mad Men, and the video is online. What was your first reactions of something you wrote, something you created, and then you saw it online, actors performing it?
It was amazing. It was very surreal, I guess would be the word to describe it, because when you're writing something and you're spending a lot of time, deciding what to say or what would my characters sound like, and you may tweak a line here and a line there, and you, as a writer, the first person to play every role is you, so to see other people bring it to life, it's really something. So it was great.
It was a great screenplay, too, like for someone who worked on the script with the actors. It was a very easy script to work with. We actually finished early doing it because it was just, everything was there. Congratulations for writing such a terrific script.
Oh, thank you so much.
Why Mad Men, and why, this is a kind of two-part question. Why Mad Men, and why Season 4, and why the episode between 6 and 7?
Well, I picked Mad Men because it was a show on TV that I somewhat stumbled across. I didn't start watching it until further on. I think the show itself may have been in Season 3, and I'd heard a lot about it, so I did the whole go to the video store, get Season 1, and I think I spent about 2 weeks watching all the episodes, and I was instantly hooked. And when I was learning how to write a spec script, I read somewhere that it's good to pick an episode that might fall between 2 episodes. So at the time, Season 4 was the current season, and I picked Season 4, and then picking an episode that would fall between episodes 6 and 7, only because I feel at that point in the season it was almost a turning point, and those 2 episodes really seemed to pull me in terms of the characters and what was going on and how they really reacted to the changes in their world.
So you wrote this screenplay after Season 4 was completed?
Yeah, Season 4 had already wrapped.
Yeah.
And then in watching it, those were the 2 episodes, I think. Well, Season 4 was amazing. It's one of my favorite seasons of the show. But I just happened to pick, just in terms of my curiosity about the characters and the plot, it just really started with me somewhat asking myself of, what would Don do if he had the opportunity to do this? Or how would Peggy react when someone else was left in charge, when she really had her chance to shine and show Don that she really had what it took to be a great copywriter?
And it fits into the arc of the very famous episode 7, where they're left alone at the office through the night. And it fits, what you just described fits to that arc of episode 7, I guess, too, right?
Yes, that was the goal.
No, it's like it was a terrific, for someone who's seen these episodes many times. It was very easy for me to do. And there's a couple comments I should mention to you is that sometimes you forget how much Don goes through in a certain episode. And the actor who performed Don on that in your spec was almost kind of winded after performing, even though he was sitting down reading the script. He was winded after reading it a few times, we did it a few times. Mm-hmm. It just that's what kind of gave me. It was just that was very interesting for me to see how much of an arc he had in that episode.
Oh, thank you. And see, when I saw it, I watched the video for the first time yesterday, right after it went up, and to actually see, it dawned on me of wow, I realized the weight of the episode. That when you're writing it, I think being so close to it, to actually see people, kind of bring the emotions and the actions to life. So,
is there anything that you would change after seeing the video up?
Not that I can think of. It's still a working document for me. So that was the version that I'd written when I won, and then since I've done a rewrite, from learning more about spec writing, I've learned that I needed it to make it just a little bit heavier in terms of page length. So the current rewrite is about 2 pages longer, just because it's 1 hour. But I don't think there's anything I would really change, other than the things in the rewrite of just the time progressing and trying to continually get better at being a writer. So, like the pitch and everything is still the same.
It's interesting, like because I'm assuming you've watched season 6 already, and it's interesting, like doing this episode, like this spec and going back about like how you chose to use California in Mad Men, which California represents a lot of things for Mad Men, and was a huge part of season 6. So it's like all that subtext of the California, and using this spec, it was kind of interesting to do. And I think it was a kind of a cool choice for you, even though you didn't realize how far like they were going to go with California in future Mad Men years.
Right, I had no idea. So when I watched season 6, it was not eerie, but I didn't realize how. I had no idea. I had no connection, to the show by any means. I had no idea that California kind of had this, like, let's say, the land of the golden sun, in terms of Don, and then also in terms of Sterling Cooper, as we saw at the end of season 6.
Yeah.
All I knew, at the time was just there's a point that I wrote, Don is much happier in California than in New York. And just the nature of him being Don Draper, the whole metaphor of him being the advertising executive, and his real life is draped by this veneer that he puts on of being a very strong man's man, advertising man. And when he's in California, it's almost as if the drapes come off, and we can see the real Don, who wants to be free. And just by looking at the episode, he dresses different in California. He's so much more relaxed. So.
And then what was the choice of not of putting, like, Anna she's obviously spoke of many times, but you didn't really give her a scene in this spec. Was that like done on purpose?
More so on purpose. It was more so the question of from season 4, episode 7, when during that entire episode the phone's ringing and it's California, and Don keeps dodging taking the phone call, and it's more so. I asked myself when I was watching this, what would happen if Don had the chance to go back to California? Or thinking back, I think it was episode 2 or 3 in season 4 when he actually goes to California.
Yeah.
Of how, let's say, I think that he somewhat saw Anna at the time in those episodes, how he wanted to remember her. And it was more so how, when he tries to have the chance to go back, how would it work out? And I think that had Anna actually had a scene, I think it would have, or I don't know, I think it may have just gone outside the arc that I was going for.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't quite know why, but I think it just had to do with making plot decisions in terms of the...
But it works, though. Like, it works well not giving her a scene, because it's just like she's always talked about, but not... Like, she's seen, but she's not heard, which I think adds even more emotional layers to the script. I'm just curious why you did that. But also, too, it was fun to have Lane, and like, to go back and hear Lane again, especially with the actor.
Right.
After what happens in season 5, right?
Yes, unfortunately. I really like Lane's character.
And then also with Megan as well, like Megan, you put Megan in the spec knowing that she's going to become Mrs. Don Draper eventually, right?
Right. And the tension that I saw play out at the end of season 4 between she and Faye. Of, Dr. Faye, she had increased, she'd put in all this investment, all this time. There was all this foreshadowing of she and Don's relationship. And then here comes Megan, who it was really out of the blue, and she gets to become Mrs. Draper, and Faye doesn't. So.
Megan puts in Faye puts in all the work, and Megan gets the rewards for the work that Faye put in.
Yes, and that was another thing I love about watching Mad Men is there's so much subtext and there's so much foreshadowing. But I love the way that Matt Weiner, the creator, and his team of writers that they put so much space into every episode that there's so much action that takes place, or the way that they convey things with just the look. Like his characters talk, but there's so much. I love the way that he lets their actions and the subtext create the scene, instead of making it only, dialogue.
100%. So you just finished watching season 6, like as we're doing this podcast. It finished a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
What was your feelings of the final episode, and where do you think the final season 7, is going to go?
Wow, that's a great question. Season 6. Well, the finale was really something. I guess I watched it. I think I watched it the day after. Or it may have been that evening. It may have been pretty late here, but I don't know. It was just shocking. I did not expect that to happen, and there was so much buzz online. I think the Huffington Post has a Mad Men blog, and the Guardian in the UK has a Mad Men blog. There's all the speculation of, in the opening credits, the man that's falling out of the window, and then the creator said, no, that's not going to happen. But I think it really, I love the risk that he takes. I mean, he leaves nothing on the table. I think he wrote that he said, I'm just going to go there, like boldly go with my story where I want to go. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I just love the way that he opened it up, that now that Don, he's kind of indefinitely on leave from Sterling Cooper, that I'm really looking forward to seeing the next chapter. We're seeing the way that throughout this entire season, his relationship with his daughter Sally has been, more so kind of, butting heads, per se, that now he seems to be opening himself up and letting people get to know him.
And the more he opens himself up, the worse of an advertising executive he becomes.
True. And just from a character perspective, I think I read somewhere that in movies that characters change, but in television, characters, they go through maybe arcs here and arcs there, but they pretty much stay the same. And I guess having read that, it makes me wonder, okay, what is Don going to be like in season 7? Now that we know what happened at the end of season 6.
Well, they're trying, I think he's going, and I hope he goes in the direction where Don's going to try to be a better person, right?
Yes.
And this goes back to Weiner, who wrote many of the many of the episodes of the last 2 seasons of Sopranos, where Tony Soprano doesn't change. He actually becomes worse of a human being as the years go by, and And of course, they got a lot of heat for that. David Chase got a lot of heat for that, who is Matthew Weiner's mentor, for basically not changing or not making Tony Soprano better. And I think he's going in the opposite direction. I think he's learned from the Sopranos experience and saying, okay, we're going to try to make Don better, but what are the costs of someone trying to become better?
Absolutely. So, and it's interesting you mentioned The Sopranos. I'm actually on season 2. I started watching it right before, unfortunately, James Gandolfini's very tragic passing.
Yeah.
And I see some similarities in terms of, I guess it's TV in general. This is one of the things I love about television today, is the way that The Sopranos and other shows more so laid the groundwork that now on TV we have so many anti-heroes, that they're people that we want to cheer for, and they're clearly the hero, but their flaws are what make them so intriguing and pull them in.
No, and that's sort of what started with The Sopranos is kind of the beginning of that seed of what you're talking about. And you kind of want Don to become better, but then it's a good metaphor for, like, as a person tries to become better, there's a lot of cost to trying to become better, because your world will change drastically and sometimes financially as well.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where he's going with the final scene, but I don't know. Hopefully he is.
Yes, I don't know what to expect. It's exciting. It truly is.
Okay, so what else? So besides the spec, which obviously you won, so it's a very good spec and it should serve you well. What else are you up to? What are your kind of goals as a writer?
Well, I'm newer to writing, so I'm still doing my best to work on the craft, writing every day. I try to read as many scripts as I can. I watch film, I watch television, just trying to develop that ability to not only have an eye and an ear for understanding other people's work, but also applying that to my own work. And so right now I have a feature that I'm working on and working on a TV pilot. So just continuing, just doing my best to become the best writer that I can be.
Well, you're already on your way, so I'm glad that you enjoyed the reading, and like I said, it should serve you well, and you have a future. I'll let you tell you that much. So for what it's worth.
Thank you.